living life. Every teardrop, every smile. Nature's more than butterflies. Carry the world 1,000 times, and I'm hopeful that someday you'll see what I more than worthy of molding a nation. Take off your crown on most days, but there's a halo there and it's gonna stay. It'll stay. For everything depends on you, woman. You're more than worthy of molding a nation. And you're more than worthy. I wanna be shining your crown. Do you know you're more than worthy? You're more than beautiful, you're more than powerful to me.
I am unstoppable.
I am confident. I am limitless.
I am a strong woman. Be proud of you. Be bold. Be brave.
You are enough.
Then go on, tell a neighbor, tell a friend, tell everybody, normal thing, to tune in to Edu FM on 99.7 FM in Georgetown and Anai, 89.9 FM in Ituni, Maruka and Port Kaituma, 98.9 FM in New Amsterdam, and 99.9 FM everywhere else. Also, you can WhatsApp us and join in the conversation. We have a lot of discussions planned for this evening. You can WhatsApp us on 600-8343. That's 600-8343. You can even join us on the World Wide Web at www.edu.fm. That is www.edyou.fm. Yes, you can also watch on Facebook. You can see our pretty faces. And today we have our DJ participating. I mean, I don't think we've ever fully introduced our members to the listeners. Have we, Martina?
Ourselves, ma'am. Ourselves.
Oh, me, yeah. You know Ramona Luti and you know Martina Johnson. But our DJ, I am sick, she's DJ Ash. Ashwini Bina Saran. All right, so she is also...
That's how you want to start today's program?
By calling your lovely middle name.
She has such a beautiful middle name. Oh my gosh.
Thanks, Ramona. Thanks.
But yes, so she will be joining in the conversation today because we went to tour a prison and we will be telling you all about that. So, Martina, before we get into that discussion, how are you doing, girl?
I'm good. I can't complain. I have nothing to complain about. I've got life, food, clothing, shelter, great friends, lovely family.
Am I one of those great friends? Cause
yeah,
if I'm
man.
not,
Yeah. You know, some days you got things to complain about, but today went so well.
Yeah.
Even though I was doing some business and the lines were long, so long that people got tired and they were sitting on the staircases in the building that I was on the second floor going up to the third floor. They were just sitting there on the stairs. And I stood there over an hour and nothing fazed me.
Yeah.
I was so patient.
I aspire to be to that level. How was your day, girl?
My day was busy. I was doing things and up and about as always.
Same.
Making the best of every moment. For the radio, we say that. But in reality, I slept a lot.
At least she's being honest, right?
I was not
We can't
expecting
be empowering if we are not powered.
Exactly.
All right? So, she's speaking the truth, right?
Oh my goodness.
I had a pretty hectic day. My son had to come to work with me today, but it was nice. I mean, he was he wasn't a bit, he was very noisy.
Oh my
but
God.
I mean, he's 4.
my
Like, what did you
my
expect?
colleagues were very accommodating. So they allowed him to pierce holes in their papers and stuff.
Is he at
And-
the stage where he's screaming a lot?
Oh my gosh, I thought it ended when he was like around 2, and he stopped for a
Ramona,
bit,
don't
and I'm
you
like,
scream at this age still? So
we're not comparing me, okay?
We're still
Doesn't
we're
it?
in terrible twos. My husband said it's definitely terrible
Oh
twos
my.
because Victoria's the little boss.
Yeah, yeah.
Daddy, I'm hungry. And she still comes to me trying to do things a 2-year-old should not be doing because she's not a baby. So she came to me yesterday morning. She said, Mommy, I want to breastfeed. I'm like, you could say that word so well. You shouldn't be asking for it. You should be done. And I told her, I said, okay, let Mommy go take a shower and then you'll get it here. She, no, you showered already. Like, wow. She knows I'm trying to trick her and hope that she'd forget. She's like, no, you showered already. And then she dropped on the floor and held on to my ankles so I could not walk away. And my husband dropped laughing on the floor like, oh my God.
Like, you can't go anywhere, woman.
But 2? Man.
Yeah, I thought the screaming thing finished when he was 2, but no, it's back. But he doesn't scream for like a screaming reason. He just screams. He would come to me and be like, Mom, can I scream? And I'd be like, okay, but quietly.
So Ramona, Martina, when the next child come in?
No more.
Girl, excuse me.
No more. Leave that
After
for
yours.
Leave that for.
I have 3 children. Remember I told you? 2 dogs and a
yeah.
cat.
And woof woof.
Exactly.
Those are
2
her
dogs and a
kids.
cat.
Leave that for Serena Williams and Rihanna.
Oh yes, the Met Gala. I swear, almost every celebrity you saw was pregnant, or maybe even
Sorry,
if they were.
Rihanna pregnant. Who else?
Serena Williams.
There were a couple of people, but let me see.
I
gotta pull them
can't
up.
remember all who was pregnant, or pregnant and present there, but I know quite a number of celebrities who are pregnant right now.
Yeah.
And
And they're all in their late 30s, right?
late 30s or early 40s, but these ladies are out there rocking it. Did you guys see Keke Palmer?
No, I didn't.
I didn't.
But I saw the picture
Oh.
with the when they were now getting the baby. That created quite a ruckus.
If you go on social
was the
media
boyfriend,
and you
yes.
see Keke Palmer, she is a reincarnation of young Angela Bassett. And of
Correct,
course,
yep.
you know, there is this whole thing about the snapback, and she has snapped right back. I mean, this woman had baby like 48 hours ago, not literally, but it was just recent.
The other day.
She looks really good. She looks really,
Oh my
really
gosh,
nice.
yes, she does.
See? Oh wow.
Dude.
Damn, girl.
And then I saw, you know,
Oh,
who
wow,
else,
she
whose
does.
outfit I really liked, and who also not too long ago had a baby.
Who?
Oh Lord, the name just
It just disappeared.
slipped me altogether. She is married to this guy Shumpert. She dances. She trained Beyonce to dance for a video. Man, how y'all don't remember
I
this?
don't
Iman
know.
Shumpert is her husband.
I don't know.
I'm gonna have to Google it. I know somebody who's listening can send me that information
On a
right
completely
away.
unrelated note, have you ever listened to that interview with Keke Palmer talking about Titanic? With
Yes,
Steve Harvey?
yes. Oh my God, yes.
Steve Harvey. This girl is legit annoyed and angry and frustrated.
I don't blame her.
I need to send you that interview.
I look at it. I look at
Yes.
it. Oh, Tiana Taylor. Tiana
Ah.
Taylor. Look up Tiana Taylor's outfit. Man, these women were just rocking all these outfits. And the Met Gala is like a huge costume party for America.
Yep.
And it has a theme every year. And this year's theme, they were all mothering. When
at
we
that.
saw, you know who was really mothering? Kim Kardashian. You know,
Oh,
mother
yes,
of
yes,
pearls.
yes,
Yeah.
She just had pearls for all my grandmothers, my great aunts, my great grand. She had enough pearls for everyone.
I'm looking at Tiana. She looks amazing, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she's married to Iman Shumpert, and he's a former basketball star. So he's got fitness down pat. I'm sure he's got her training
Something-
as if it's
He
a
has-
basketball
he has a
camp.
hand in it.
I think he's got a hand in it because
But it's really nice to see
It's
the
nice.
women now who are portraying, you know, being sexy and pregnant in the late 30s or 40s. It's nice to see that.
It's becoming a
different-
sort
Yeah.
of trend.
Yeah, it's a trend.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And of
because
It's a nice way of showing life, you know.
yeah, like you don't
medical
have to be in a rush
technologies-
to do all
Yes,
these things.
exactly.
Yeah.
And the society has this stigma attached to women. Like the moment you pass 25, oh, you don't get a child yet. It can be hard for you. Okay, ma'am, you'll take care of this child.
You know, I think because technology is changing and medical technology that is, as well as knowledge and
There's so many
information,
options now.
that
Yeah.
there are many options and there's more greater understanding about having babies at an older age and better management perhaps.
More knowledge.
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
I
the
think
more
That's why
knowledge
I
becomes
asked both
available.
of you, when is the next one coming? You know, because there's so many
Oh.
options.
We still have time.
I
okay?
don't. She set me up, you know, and we walked right into it.
Yeah, listen, the next time, I'm not shutting it down. I do want another child, but when I do get another child, though, my child got to be old enough to help me take care.
Smart.
It doesn't work.
Yes, they're the experienced
It
one.
doesn't work. No. The older ones either go hang out with their friends or they lock up in their rooms. I got 2 older ones at home. They're both teenagers. They lock up in their
Yeah.
rooms.
Oh my
You know,
god.
wait
It
till
doesn't
he's
work.
an
So you
adult.
gotta wait till they're in the 20s then?
With it, yeah.
No, by then they're probably gone. You just hire a nanny.
Oh wow. Okay.
I mean, options. They're there,
Options.
right?
But now you talk about older and having kids and time. Today I was reading something on social media that said, and I want you guys to share your views on it, that said, do not date if you're broke. Build yourself first.
I agree with that. I
I
fully
agree.
agree with that.
Okay, because
Fully agree
there's
with that.
there's this notion, especially as it relates to women, and it does apply to some men, where women only look for affluent men or spouses to get into relationships and marriages with because they want to be taken care of and stuff. And I mean, listen, I'm not knocking it. If it works for you. But personally, I need to have myself established. I need to feel content with who I am, what I'm earning. I need to be able to take care of myself before I put myself out there to get into a relationship with anybody. Because while, yes, I do want a man to take care of me, I want to also be able to spoil my man, and not with his money all the time, right?
You know something. I think both ways can work though, because if you have somebody who's understanding, like my parents, they struggled to get there, and they're at a really good point now. But they must. That's a different generation.
But
You're
I mean,
telling you, that's a
but-
different
yeah.
generation.
Oh, come on. My
Martina,
husband and I are
not
like
in-
that too.
Not in this time.
And we're not that
Not in this time.
generation.
But that's everybody. It's like the more as listen, information is a good and bad thing, right? Information freedom, these are good and bad things. There, some people can't handle it, and so you might be thinking, okay, yes, we're growing together, we're building each other, and some people suddenly hit the jackpot and like, you know what?
Bye.
Exactly.
Bye, Ramona. Bye.
Okay. Then you're basically throwing out, like, let's say college relationships. Like you meet in university, we both maybe 20, we're in our last year, we ain't got nothing. We still living with mommy and daddy.
But then
Then you're saying they
able to-
can't date?
No. You're able to
can.
establish where your mindsets are because some.
But remember,
we
the
can
thing
have-
is, if you're broke, if you're broke, don't date. But what if, for example, the woman is broke and a
Okay,
guy
but-
comes
okay,
along
I
and
think-
likes her?
I think if you want
I
to do
wants
that,
to-
put that out there as well. You're broke.
or
If we're
Or-
getting into a relationship,
or
let me
even
know
the
you
other-
ain't got $1 to buy an icicle for myself.
or even the other way around. The
Let
guy
me
is
know.
broke.
Put it out there.
Let me know what's happening so I know what I'm getting
Exactly,
into. So
yeah.
I know if I got to
So,
walk with me
yeah.
wallet everywhere we go.
Exactly.
So okay,
going
now
to
now we're
Pakistan.
getting
Like
somewhere.
to Ekbal,
Like-
that's it.
Or you
Like,
take me
well,
to
yeah,
lunch
both
and then
sides of it.
tomorrow you beg me back for the money. Yeah.
But you broke, friend. You ain't got nothing.
So
You
that's the
begging
thing.
more.
Like I saw it, and
Unless the begging coming in a different way.
You're returning favors.
Right. That's a whole different conversation.
but you see, I thought of it. At first I outright agreed. Like, yeah, that's so true. You need to have money. But then that throws out almost every single relationship because at some, like, let's say you meet in high school, college, university, you ain't got nothing mommy and daddy might have, but you don't really have. All you have is the goal that this is what you want to become, or goals that this is what you want to become, and what you want to achieve outside of career. And I thought about it, and the more I thought about it, I was like, nah, it can't be an outright yes, because there are
It's iffy,
times,
yeah. There's-
there
it
there
makes
are
sense what you're saying,
situations
but you
that
still gotta put it out there. I think
Yes.
it's important to let people
Lay
know
your
what's
cards on
your
the table.
status.
This is where I yes.
that you can't just
This is where
come
I
and be
stand.
taking out of the basket all the time and not
Exactly.
putting anything into it, because
Exactly.
eventually the basket will be empty.
But
I
then,
think I got basket,
but in
and gone
cases
too.
too,
Might sell the basket.
this brings me back to that movie Acrimony.
Oh, that movie! I love Taraji
Highly-
P Henson. She's
That is highly debatable. But you see, people, listen, in this day and age, as much as you would like to have hope, people pretend well. People pretend well.
Who was
No.
pretending in
Oh,
that
we're not
movie?
getting into that movie. We're not getting into that movie. That movie has
But
caused...
that movie is real. It's like
It's
real.
real.
It's
Exactly.
real. What's
Because she
happening.
gave so much for so
Yeah,
long.
that-
And then
he
she
was
reached
wrong,
a
though.
point. She reached a point where
He was
she was
wrong.
just fed up. She'd given so much and she just gave up. And he decided, you don't want me, I move on.
But the same thing Ramon is
And
saying
that's
with
it.
hope.
Yeah.
You know,
And then
they-
there was
they
so
had
much bitterness
ambitions and
between the
stuff.
two of them. Like, I don't even know if reconciliation could have worked.
Yeah,
With the
'cause-
kind of things they said to
because
each
they had
other
a lot
and
of
did.
outside factors as well, like a lot
Yeah.
of people influencing her and whatnot.
Mm.
But as I said, like, hope it's one thing to have hope and trust, or thinking you have trust between you and your specific significant other. But then there's another thing: when push comes to shove, people actually act different. When pressure gets to people, they act differently.
Man,
When
at some
success
point in time, you
hits
gotta
people-
know that you don't want a leech in your life.
True. So
listen,
that's why it's
but while I
important
might
to
That you're not
recognize
going
that.
to put up with it anymore.
While I might recognize that within a few months, some people might recognize it within a few
or
weeks.
that you should
or
be able to recognize
others.
that you are a leech.
Okay, Marty.
And
all
say,
right.
I'm going to do more
This
to give
is-
value to the relationship.
We're being
No,
general
but
in terms
even-
of
not
gender.
or tangible
Even if
things.
you recognize that, then that means you should also recognize you need to do something about
Yes, do something
it.
like
Don't
Precisely.
admit it and just end up being like that for the rest of
Yeah,
your
get
life.
this
a
is my
couple of
problem.
jobs.
Yourself.
Like, this is my problem. Take it
You
or
know?
leave it. No, friend, that's not how it works.
Yeah, well, fine, bye. Yeah. Do some stuff, try to earn some money.
Yeah, elevate yourself.
Elevate yourself, self-study.
Mm.
Listen, even if you got to drive, not talking down jobs, if you got to drive, she gone to work and you borrow the car and you drive the car taxi. And you make some money and you contribute to the relationship.
And you know
Or
what's
vice versa.
another killer too? I think being comfortable. Being too comfortable is a bad thing. Especially
We
when
take
you're
things for
not...
granted.
Yeah. And I've met quite a few people who are, okay, I work for this amount of money, it makes ends meet, and that's it. I mean, okay, if that works for both you and your spouse, all right, like, who am I to judge? It works for you, right? But then there are many instances where one specific partner might be more ambitious than the other, and then that one is, like, the other person who is comfortable is just there, like, yeah, I work on my one job, it makes ends meet, I don't really I don't have a need for anything else. But then you're not taking into consideration unexpected expenses, like your future, right? So,
Pension, retirement, medical issues.
and you know what? There's
death
a
of
lot.
a family member.
These are
Yeah.
all things that before people
Your
get
car
married
crashing.
to, they don't discuss. A lot
Yeah.
of, especially traditional families, they don't have these. I mean, now not just now, but now I'm becoming aware more and more of couples who are opting to take counseling before they get married.
That should be.
Well,
it
actually,
happens.
I
It
thought it
happens.
was normal because
It
before my
happens,
husband
yeah.
and I got married, we had to do counseling. It was for 6 months or 4, something, but we had to do counseling. Unfortunately, finances wasn't something that we discussed, and education wasn't something that we discussed. Migration also and settling into another country was not something that we discussed.
Those 3 main things y'all in discussing, you still together is real love, boy.
And-
If
and
that
that's
ain't
the
love, I
thing,
don't
There's
know
a
what
long
is.
time,
It
there's a
was-
long time
it was-
relationship.
Oh yes.
Hey, we've known each other for 23 years.
Wow.
Oh, see, more
Congrats.
hints to this age. Never mind, I know the audience is gonna guess.
But
now.
yeah, it's like we didn't have, the pastor counseled us on relationships in terms of don't go to bed angry, talk it out before. Sometimes even if your spouse does something that you don't like.
This sounds like them things people is be getting up and wishing you when they give you speeches that you want to
Yeah,
done,
it was
Mary.
that sort of thing, how to deal with anger, dealing with the children and so on. But we never had financial counseling, and we never had any migration or raising the kids kind of counseling.
But
and so
maybe
on.
because you had that at the inception, the fact that you were able to converse together led the way for the rest of the life to actually continue having conversations, even though these major things were not discussed. It
Well-
led the way. It started a pathway for both of you. When you think about it.
Interestingly, he grew up privileged. Leslie, I hope you don't mind me saying that. He grew up privileged, and around people who held high positions and owned companies and managed business and so on. And so he understood that. I grew up underprivileged, but my mom taught me to hustle. And when I say hustle, I mean when we didn't have money, we
Yeah,
started
when I heard
operating
both of
a
y'all
shop,
stories, I was like,
a corner shop,
Oh.
and then
We've
walking
been
and
through it.
selling, and even selling things to people at the kiosks at outside the post office. I started doing craft. I started doing art for minibus designs and so on as a teenager. And she taught me that I can use skills and talent and learn as many as I can to earn money. Taught me cooking, pastry making, and so on. So I've always told myself I can never go hungry. So the mentality, although we came from different backgrounds, we both had the same sort of mentality in terms of ambition. And I know to work a business, he knows to work a business, and we make it work.
But in this case, you were the broke one.
In this case, we were
oh
both
my God, you're horrible.
we were both
Listen,
broke because we were both teenagers.
This girl ain't got no manners. You
No,
remember
but-
how she started off this program?
But it's
Okay.
true. It is true. We were both broke. We started with empty pockets.
Can
You know,
just say you're unprivileged and he
Yeah,
privileged? Okay.
he was privileged because his parents had it.
You know, I just want to add as well. When my sister got married, we had an entire ritual, which is part of Hinduism, actually, the culture, where the married woman of the family of the bride, we did a hawan, we call it,
Yes.
little ceremony, and all the married women, they give their experiences, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and that was the counseling session for her before she got into marriage. And this is just not a one-time
I
thing.
didn't get that.
It was like
Nothing better
it
than
was like
experience.
way before she got married as well. They kept telling her like the truth, like things which seem like petty and like ridiculous. Like that could be a problem. Like listen. So that it is a part of every marriage that we need to inculcate now. Everybody who's getting married should go through that, that
Yep.
part. Yeah.
Yeah.
Make
And
it a
somebody
priority.
needs
But
to
it
tell
should
you
be like
something
the
about
honest-
education
Yeah,
because
yeah.
when we migrated, I did not know that the island that we were going to did not have a university. So when I left UG and I wrote a leave of absence letter and also asked them for my transcript in the middle of my first degree, I thought that I was going to be able to use that transcript in Antigua, but they did not have a university up until 3 years ago.
Oh shucks.
And so I was unable to continue my studies. When I returned to Guyana about 6 years later to pick up from where I left off or to pursue something else, they're like, first of all, you can't pick up where you left off with that. The whole curriculum changed
Oh
long
my
time.
God.
And and then now I'm a foreign student because I was out of the country for more than 2 consecutive years. So I was supposed to pay foreign student fee, which I didn't know about before returning to Guyana. So the fee to do law would have been 300,000 as a resident, but double there's some 25% extra, something extra as a quote unquote foreign student. I was like, wow, that just doubled my bill. So I went and looked for a job. Anyway, that's another story. But yeah, they need to
But
give
that
you
was a
education.
bold move to leave together. Though,
Yeah, to
don't you think?
uproot.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
a really bold
Damn.
move. Yeah.
And we had nothing.
How
We
old
didn't
were you?
really know. I was 22. Yeah, I was 22.
Wow.
Yeah.
Checking
That's
age, right?
nice.
I had, well, I
Exactly.
looked at my hands. That's the reason why I looked at my hand. I looked at my hand because when I was leaving, my students, I was teaching at Queen's College at the time, they give me a ring to mark the year when I left, and it
Aw.
was my age number 22.
Oh, that's cute.
So I looked at my finger, and although I'm not wearing the ring today,
You
the
still
first
remember.
time in years, I saw it. It's not there, but I saw it and I remembered it was 22.
That's very thoughtful. It's
Yes.
very
Yeah, that was
thoughtful.
They
nice.
give me this too. I still wear it. The
Aw.
chain.
So we know for your birthday, we got buy things she could wear.
Jewelry.
And if we don't see it on show,
But
we
it's the
don't
only
use it,
jewelry
but-
that I
She don't
wear,
like
you
it.
know, that I'm given as
Well,
gifts.
Okay, listen.
Okay.
When we give you gifts now, you gotta replace it.
Okay, let me just explain something to you. I need to upgrade my QC ring.
Oh, shucks.
And so
Just
you
putting
know
this
in
casually
advance,
out there, you know.
Yeah.
I lost the one that I had. I was gifted one as a best prefect and I lost it.
How do
I'd
you
like to
lose
have
them
it
things, Fran?
replaced. So I gained weight in my last pregnancy. It was too tight. I put it on and by the end of the day it couldn't fit
She
anymore.
just judging me, giving me
She's
bombastic
just
side eye.
judging me like you're losing everything.
No
It was
comment.
just one of 2 rings I've lost in my lifetime. Yeah. But that I put it down and I never found it back. Yeah. Don't know where it is.
Yes, so Are we gonna? I'm so excited to talk. I'm always excited, but I'm so excited to talk about a prison visit.
All right, so it is now 6:30 here in the studios at EduFM, and you are listening to the Women Empowerment Program on 99.7 FM. Stay tuned. We'll be right back to tell you all about our visit to the Temeri prison and our conversation with several of the prison officials. Stay tuned.
We got.
You have your own business and you set the charges for the goods and services you provide. As a self-employed person, you are assessed for income tax based on your chargeable income. That is, the amount remaining after expenses are reclaimed. Therefore, when submitting an income tax return for year of assessment 2023, you must submit the following: income and expenditure or profit and loss statement, balance sheet of assets and liability, loss schedule if applicable, wear and tear schedule if applicable, certificate of deduction, that is, set-off letter or certificate, such as a coal board letter or 2% withholding certificate if applicable. April 30 is the due date for the submission of tax returns and the payment of taxes due and outstanding. For more information, contact GRA's Tax Advisory Services, 227-6060, extension 8000.
The Ministry of Human Services and Social Security and the Spotlight Initiative invite you to download and activate the GBV app, I Matter. And because you do, get all the resources right here. Introducing the new I Matter app, your go-to app for all gender-based violence resources, education, and help. Easy to use and available to everyone. Download the app from your app store and get started by selecting the region you live in to help us provide region-specific resources for you. This app lets you understand and educate on gender-based violence, find support services for you or someone you know affected by violence, and get accurate information, laws, and facts. You'll also be given the opportunity to access helpful resources and have the chance to see answers to frequently asked questions that will help you understand the issue and be better prepared to recognize any of the symptoms of gender-based violence. If at any time you have an immediate emergency, you can quickly click on any 914 prompt across the app to get support. Get the app today and let's help stop the violence.
If you're self-employed, it means that you are your own boss. You have your own business and you set the charges for the goods and services you provide. As a self-employed person, you are assessed for income tax based on your chargeable income. That is, the amount remaining after expenses are reclaimed. Therefore, when submitting an income tax return for year of assessment 2023, you must submit the following: income and expenditure or profit and loss statement, balance sheet of assets and liability, loss schedule if applicable, wear and tear schedule if applicable, certificate of deduction, that is, set-off letter or certificate, such as a coal board letter or 2% withholding certificate if applicable. April 30 is the due date for the submission of tax returns and the payment of taxes due and outstanding. For more information, contact GRA's Tax Advisory Services, 227-6060, extension 8000.
Welcome to Talk Tax. My name is Carolita Edwards. Our program this week will outline to you the importance of paying taxes and filing your tax returns on time.
Need to apply for a taxpayer identification number or TIN from the GRA? Here is what you'll need: ID, passport or affidavit of identity, and proof of address. This can be a utility or internet bill, renter's receipt, or a mail bearing GPO's official stamp. Provide the original and copy of these along with the completed application form. It costs $1,000 for a new TIN and $2,000 to reprint a lost or damaged TIN. GRA, your partner in development.
Once you're earning income, you are obligated to pay taxes. This is in keeping with the Income Tax Act, Chapter 80101. If employed, your employer is tasked with the responsibility of deducting and remitting the taxes on your behalf. On the other hand, if you are self-employed, you are responsible for remitting your taxes to the GRA by the stipulated deadline. An individual can determine their tax payable by applying the single tax rate of 28% or the dual rates of 28% and 40% where applicable to their chargeable income. The submission of tax returns and payment of taxes is of utmost importance since it allows individuals to become tax compliant. Being tax compliant enables an individual or company to obtain a certificate of compliance quickly and with ease. The taxes we pay help to foster our country's economic growth, provide healthcare, education, infrastructure, and other public goods and services to its citizens. Therefore, taxpayers must be aware of their tax obligations and must understand that it is the moral and social duty of every responsible citizen of a country to pay their fair share of tax. The GRA is reminding taxpayers that filing tax returns and paying taxes by the stipulated deadline eliminates the possibility of individuals having to pay additional taxes, interest, and penalties to the GRA.
Open your hearts, open your home. Foster a child today. For more information, you can contact the Child Care and Protection Agency Foster Care Department via 231-8423 or 225-1257. Or you can also email us at fostercare.cpa@gmail.com.
Consumer protection is everybody's business. Consumers, when making purchases of a good or service, you should collect a receipt. It is the only proof of purchase. Receipts should include the purchase price and the VAT separately as paid by the consumer, date of purchase, description of goods sold or service provided, name, address, and the telephone number of the business. Your receipt allows you to return a good purchased. Goods must be returned no later than 7 days from the date of purchase, have not been used or tampered with, and in its original package. Businesses may charge a restocking fee not exceeding 10% of the purchase price on goods returned. Goods which fail to provide consumers the benefit and uninterrupted enjoyment intended should be returned to suppliers. At no cost to the consumer, suppliers should repair, replace, or refund the purchase price. Suppliers shall not post notices that goods are not returnable, and no refunds will be given for goods returned. A supplier who conducts this act commits an offense. Contact the Department of Consumer Affairs and the Ministry of Tourism, Industry and Commerce. catguyana@gmail.com or Department of Consumer Affairs Guyana on Facebook.
Bars. The positive side of prison. We weren't behind bars. Well, me, I was voluntarily behind bars. But
Happily behind bars too.
Like, oh my gosh, I'm a prisoner. Oh my god, that I'm not glorifying being a prisoner. Of course not. I would never do that. But so recently our team, including Ash and our Life Tech guy, Samuel Alexander, we all went to the Timeri prison, where we got a tour of the facilities to see exactly what is being done to rehabilitate prisoners into society for when their stint in prison is over. And I was pleasantly surprised. What did you think, Martina?
Remember the welfare and corrections officer, Miss Mario Bristol Grant, said to us, it's going to be so nice, we're going to want to go back.
Yeah, indeed.
It felt that way. I mean, we're not making light.
We're not glorifying.
Yes, and we're not making light of prison and the seriousness
I like the approach
of it.
they're given to it. The approach, because those persons already would have committed crimes.
They're
or
being
did
punished
something
already.
bad. So rather than making it worse for them, they're showing them like you can acquire
Humanity.
this skill.
Precisely.
Can be
They're showing grace,
Yeah.
compassion,
Yeah.
even to some extent.
Actually, one of the officers would have said to us that even though they do all that, when they go back into society, they don't get that back, and somehow some of them end up back inside. So
Because
maybe the
that
people out
stain-
there, when you see somebody come out, don't stigmatize them. Or I mean, I understand you're keeping your distance and you have your boundaries
Ease and press,
stuff.
yeah.
But still, people, if they want a positive change, you need to give them a chance.
And this is why we're highlighting what is happening in
And
the
why
prison.
they should give them a chance, because I think prior to us being there and prior to Ms. Bristol Grant telling us a bit about what to expect, we'd also had negative perceptions, well, I did, of prison and prisoners. And I'm not saying, okay, everybody that leaves prison is going to be a positive individual.
Exactly.
I'm saying that you should give them a chance, because in prison they're being taught to be better, do better. And so they're being taught all of these things, and then they're out in the real world, they want to implement it. We at some point need to give them a chance, even
So-
if we're keeping them at a distance.
That's true. And there are two things that come to mind there is that, one, because of those negative perceptions of prisons, of course, owing to the information that we get from the authorities,
Correct.
I'd say, and what we get from other people, they face something I would consider perpetual punishment. It never ends. So you come out, you cannot find a job. Of course, because you can't find a job, you can't survive. And when you can't survive, there are two options people take to end their suffering
Or revert to
or
criminal
revert
ways.
to the ways that they
Yep.
know.
And in some instances, it can even escalate, because you might have started off as a thief, but then you revert to criminal ways. You're back to stealing, but then now you're put in a position where you feel like you have to kill somebody.
I know.
And it
There's anger. I mean,
that's what I'm gonna say. It's not only skills. The approach that I'm talking about is not only skills they're giving them. They're also
Anger
anger
management.
management programs.
So it's
They're also
compulsory.
religion, which is
Yes.
taken into consideration.
Yep.
I found that impressive
Yeah.
that
Me
the
too.
library is converted to their prayer room,
Yes.
and each religion has a specific time and day that they get an opportunity to practice whatever beliefs, rituals,
and
or
observe their respective holidays
yes.
and
But you
stuff.
know
and their
what-
holidays.
And they also talked
the
about
food.
the sweetmeats, like
yes. So
So-
if you're Muslim
yeah.
or Hindu or Christian
You know what I
or
would really
Hebrew,
like to see though? In the next 5 years, what's the
Benefit?
the statistics
Yeah.
to it?
to show where we
Yeah.
started and where we're at
like
now.
5 or maybe 7, 8 years. Let's see. Do you have like repeated offenders?
well, that's
You
the
know,
other
That's
thing.
what I would love to see that statistic. This is a first time visit, but like in the coming years, did it actually
That's the other
make
thing.
a difference?
Remember, the prison superintendent, Mr. Nicklin Elliott, was here as well, and he talked about the programs that were implemented, and so far they've seen a decline in the repeat offenders or the
That's what I'm
recidivism rate.
talking about. Yeah.
And when he was talking, he mentioned it was about 70% before, and their aim is to, and then it came down to about 40%. But that's a dichotomy that they're trying to change. That is a statistic that they don't like. So as if they could bring it down to single digits in terms of like 9% and under, that's something to strive towards. And I think that the second thing is when you look at the programs that the prisons are a microcosm of society. So you cannot take them away from the society and then take away everything else that society offers in terms of the positive things like education, interactions with their families, reintegrating them into the communities through various projects and initiatives
And still
without,
allowing them-
letting them run amok in the streets, but you manage it and keeping them abreast with technology too,
Yes.
because you would have had people, you have people serving 40 years. They went in as age 20 and they're serving 40 years and maybe they're coming out this year. When they went in, we were using VHF and cassettes and
You're bringing back a caveman.
and imagine that person coming out into society
Yep.
strong,
Completely lost.
able to work,
Unable to
mind
adapt.
is sound, educated, but totally stuck in 1984. You understand that?
Yep.
I can't imagine a person whose mind is stuck in 1984 coming out
Coming out,
into
yeah.
society.
This
No, when
time.
they went into prison, we had a whole different political leadership directive, a whole different Guyana.
That's like going into a coma and waking up 10 years later.
Yeah. So, but we're now going to go and take a look. We're going to share with you, if you're looking on our Facebook page, you can see our video. And of course, you're going to hear everything that is discussed and shared with us. And then, of course, our interpretation to come afterwards. So stay locked to 97. Come. Oh man, you're not ready as yet. He's like, no, look at the clock.
He's
look at the
perfecting.
clock.
He's adding.
He's perfecting it. So you're ready?
5 minutes, he said.
He's like, no, you can't go as yet. You can't go as yet. But we'll tell you more about our prison visit.
So, one thing that I found extremely interesting is they talked about the prison having 80% literacy. Literacy,
Yeah.
like 80% of the prisoners are literate. Then for the 20%, they also have special tutors available to teach the respective illiterates at
And
their
mildly
respective
literate and-
level.
yes.
Yeah,
At their
that was
level.
pretty interesting.
Like they're able to
They
teach
don't
you
just
from
bundle
scratch.
all 20% in one
Yeah.
classroom.
Yes.
So you've got 20%. Okay, let's put it into numbers. It was 101 prisoners there. Now imagine 20% of them in the prison. That's 20
That's
of them
20,
basically
yeah.
can't read and write, but they're at different levels or different
And
abilities.
then you put everybody in one pot and say,
And you put everybody in there, and somebody's struggling, somebody's laughing at them, somebody's uncomfortable to speak because they're afraid of how people may
Exactly.
interpret and react to them.
And I thought that
and
was
they've
very
changed
nice.
that. They said, listen, you can't read and write at all. You have a session for yourself. You know 2 and 3 letter words. You have a session for you.
And they said the
you
tutor
with
comes,
4
what,
and
twice a
5
week?
letters, and they've got. I think that hit home for me because remember I'm teaching somebody who cannot read.
Yep.
I should say could not read.
No, she
Oh, kudos to you.
So I've got a 44-year-old mom, grandma, farmer lady, and
That's a
she
big
started out
accomplishment.
unable
Yep,
to
yep.
read, and now she's reading certain words and sentences with small
And
words.
she's texting instead of sending
What's
voice notes.
happened? Yeah,
Wow,
she-
little steps.
yes.
Big deal.
So that hit home for me because I remember the day when she read her first sentence.
Yeah,
I mean, we
celebrated.
celebrated. She cooked for me. I was like, okay, great. Nice curry, by the way. No, but it was such a great achievement for her. You can imagine that lecturer with 20 students.
And it was a great achievement for you because you took your time and
Yeah.
patience to
It felt
sit there.
good. It felt really
Yep,
good.
yep.
You know what was interesting too? They had a welfare officer there who was stationed to
Oh,
actually
yes,
speak
yes.
to them regarding issues.
And remember what she
And it
said.
referred to. It's referred. It's not like
Yes.
right there, you know. So you're getting the change. But
So
you were
there's
saying-
regular that she visits, that she's there and they can talk anytime. And then there's referral for further issues and so on. I liked what she said. She went to work at the prison with her own perceptions. But then as she got to know them, and she was able to see it, and her community has a lot of crime and criminal elements, as she put it. And she got to understand people in her community, the young men in the community who face these issues. She got to understand them better from working in the prison. And she also said she had to close her mind entirely to allow the new information to come in and to observe and to remove all the prejudices that she had. And she said the greatest pain for her is when somebody comes in with a short sentence.
But they have a lot of issues.
But they have a lot of issues. That is
Yeah.
her greatest pain. She she's not wishing that they'd get a longer sentence, but she's just wishing she had more time with them.
Yeah.
Because counseling and addressing their issues would require more time than the 3 months that they're spending at that prison. And some of them, she thinks they need a year or even more because counseling has to be ongoing.
I think it's also important to equally mention that this is the prison where they didn't commit like murders,
Serious
or mass
crimes.
murders, or serious crimes.
It used to be a
right?
remand
It
center.
used to be a remand
Okay.
center.
Yeah.
And then when there was the fire at Camp Street and then a fire at Lusignan,
And they had to
they
relocate the prisoners.
all levels of crimes and they were there. And then with the reconstruction in Lusignan and expansion at Camp Street, some of them were taken back. However, there are a few people there serving time for murder. However, those there for murder, they look at their behavior. So they look at behavioral traits. And it is an area or a prison where they try not to lump a lot of the bad elements and they have a mix, so positive will influence negative, and hopefully it's not the reverse. And the age ranges are 18 to 60 and they're all men. Yeah, so the acting prison superintendent, he was very kind in giving us a tour, and we had an opportunity to speak with
answering all of
inmates.
the questions and stuff.
Yes,
Because
he was quite open.
he even talked about giving the well-behaved prisoners, they call them orderlies, you know, positions of
Trust.
semi-responsibility. She said trust is an iffy word. Trust is an iffy word. But a sort of responsibility, of course, guided responsibility. But I thought that was nice. Of course, I had to ask, you know, how do you determine
who to trust?
Again, trust is an
people
iffy
can
word.
act.
How can you determine who to make an orderly or give them that responsibility to oversee others and specific tasks and whatnot? And you know, he explained that it was basically subjective based on the prison officers and their interactions with the respective prisoners and
their backgrounds
their
as
backgrounds
well.
and what they were in for, you know, their behavior overall after a period of time. So the period differs, I guess, based on the person and personality.
And if they mess up, it's taken away from them.
Yeah, the privileges are taken away. But
She's like everybody's getting like an individual attention to curb the behavior.
Yeah,
to
it did
curb
seem
their
so.
actions. It seems so because like the literacy classes is broken up. Then you have everybody has different skills, which they can be actually productive in their time.
And by choice, they're not
by
forcing
choice,
you.
right.
Yeah.
So they
you're
like
being
doing
forced,
it. Yeah.
right? In a sense, you're being forced.
I mean,
when
you
they
gotta pick
say
a struggle.
you have
you got
Pick a
to
struggle.
because you're already
You're
in
not
prison. You might
you
might
have
as well
to do
learn
a
something.
skills program, but we're not going to tell you which one to do. But you have to do one.
And then
and mandatory anger management training for everybody,
which I commend.
which you get a certificate as well as your skills training.
That's another thing too. So, Mr. Benjamin, the officer in charge of the Timeri prison, had mentioned that at the end, after they've done their skills training and they're working in their respective fields, they get a certificate to show that I'm certified in doing this specific skill. And I think that's nice because you're putting them back out into society
with something.
So you're not coming out with, as you mentioned earlier, you're not coming out with your empty hand. You know what's happening. And then also, you know what was impressive? When they said that the guys that were making the blocks, so they make the blocks, the 4-inch, 6-inch, and I think 8-inch blocks in prison, they make 1,500 blocks a day. They work from 6 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon. Also, remember they talked about actual working.
And getting paid, and it goes into their
Yeah.
savings. So when they're released, they can use money when they're inside to buy stuff from the tuck shop, the TUCSHOP. That's like a food shop.
It's like a
and
canteen,
supplies
essentially.
shop.
Well,
Yeah.
Martina was identified as the rich one among us.
Yeah. Martina was the rich one. But hold up, she didn't buy my drink. I
Oh,
just
Lord.
I would just like to put that out there because I wanted a Coke.
I said I
She
will not support
refused.
you drinking
We don't support
soda.
soda.
She refused
We
to
support
purchase.
healthy.
And then Mr.
But
Benjamin
you
was like,
could've-
we encourage our rich
You could
rich
have, hold on, you could have made a conscious decision
I don't like fruit drinks.
not to have the soda and to take the juice.
Soda or no deal. Soda or water.
Well, you were the author of your own demise.
It's fine. You don't want to be rich to me. It's cool. But yeah,
But I'll tell you
overall-
something. This goes to show the two stubborn women in here. This one refused to take a juice, and this one refused to pay. So both of you
She
were,
could have
but both of
bended.
you were happy at the end.
You could
okay?
have bended too.
No.
But
I was going to give you a healthy choice. It's like a diabetic person asking for Coca-Cola.
But she's not.
but I'm not diabetic.
I don't know. So,
But
yeah.
Listen,
this is her saying.
I,
This is her. Listen, she's basically
Healthy
saying,
choices.
I'll take you out of pits of hell if you do what I wanted to do. If not, you stay in there.
But it's healthy. We're in a place where they're promoting healthy behaviors.
Okay, listen. My Coca-Cola was not about to negatively influence
wow,
anything.
Ramona.
I mean, we did get a bit hyper afterwards. Well, Ashwini was
You
totally
did
being
get hyper. You guys are listeners. You're gonna see in the video. Ramona is just jumping. You're gonna see it. You're
It
gonna
was
see
for
it
the
was
gram.
fun.
It's for the picture.
It was a fun environment. The people were
felt
really nice.
safe.
It was relaxed,
It felt
and I
safe.
hope that the prisoners feel the way we felt when we were there. Like, I don't want to say at home, but comfortable that they are able to grow.
elevate.
Because when you're in an environment that is not conducive to
uh-huh.
learning, it stifles you. Look how happy they were in the garden. Look how happy that group was doing
And they
their
were very
craft work.
pleasant.
Yeah.
Look how pleasant
And
the men in the kitchen were.
The
Oh
thing-
my God, the kitchen was the
yo,
best.
yeah, boy,
The kitchen was the
Listen,
best.
people, we are not advocating for you to go to prison.
We are not, in no way, shape, or form are we advocating.
We're not
for prison life.
glorifying
We are
that.
No,
not.
we are
What we are
identifying the
promoting-
fact that there is proper rehabilitation
Change,
happening
Methods,
in Ghana.
exactly.
It's something to be proud of. Something
And-
and this is
and
all
these
because
men
of
could
Martina's want to go to theirs place.
These men could cook. They cooked for us. But only Ash didn't eat because she was fasting. But the food was proper. Maybe it was because I was hungry.
No, it was good.
It
It was
smelled
good.
right.
It
Do you
was
remember
good.
the cake?
Oh my gosh, the cake smelled really good.
Yeah.
The buns.
But yeah, the mixture they didn't put dinners yet. But oh, you know
Imagine that.
another impressive thing too. I had asked about business sense.
Entrepreneurship
He said that they offered
classes.
entrepreneurship classes.
Yeah.
That
So they're
is
teaching them to make blogs and
impressive.
teaching them how to start their own business so that
and financial
when you
literacy.
come out,
They
you're
teach
doing that.
So
I didn't even do financial literacy in school.
a lot of us, girl, me and all. But
Yeah.
I don't think much emphasis is still being placed on it outside
Maybe
here.
in the near future.
I remember saying to the prison superintendent that oftentimes when we hear from the prison, it's a press release with negativity.
Correct.
And it's about the behaviors of criminals. We found them with a shank, a makeshift this, and
Or so much
a com-
cannabis
and-
or
yes, or alcohol, or somebody sneak a phone in and they on Facebook and so on. But again, the prison is a microcosm of society, and there are positive things and positive programs being done to reshape their thinking and their behavior. And of course, because the EduFM is the home of family edutainment. It's not just entertainment, but it's also education. We wanted to bring to the fore the educational opportunities that
Behind the
prisoners
scenes.
are being offered. And we also want people to know they're taking these up. We had a prisoner just finish his diploma and decided to move on to take it up to a degree.
yeah, they have
To come out and
prisoners-
be a positive influence in society.
Yeah, Mr. Benjamin talked about there being a prisoner that's pursuing a gold scholarship
Yeah.
through right there.
And
So-
there's an IT lab that they can do their programs through, which was recently
and the
launched
thing
at
about it,
Samari.
you know, I don't know statistics again, but we don't know how many of them are actually guilty, or how many of them were actually, you know,
Yeah, I mean,
did
yeah, you could be
commit the crime,
convicted
because we do
yeah,
have people who
without-
are
yeah.
in jail.
And then they
Right?
didn't commit
Correct.
the
Right.
crime. But the
when they
majority,
come
the
out-
majority, you know,
But when
yeah,
they come
the
out, you're
majority would
looking
have
at-
committed
But
it.
the bottom line is you're giving everybody a fair
second
chance
chance,
at
yeah.
Yes.
rehabilitation.
So they do not face perpetual punishment. The punishment
continue or
already
revert.
is behind bars.
Mm-hmm,
So you don't need when they come out of prison, because our society generally, when you look at social media and how people respond to issues in the prison, they're like, oh, they feel they go there to go and have fun. They should give them hard labor, and they should beat them, and they should punish them, and they should lock them down. But if you realize the more you treat somebody badly, it's like a trapped cat. They will eventually lash out. And if you treat them poorly, you'll get poor behavior. If you treat them terribly, they can come out as even more hardened than they went in. And these are the kinds of stories that I think people need to know about rehabilitation and even the humanity. These prisoners, they're tending to plants, they're doing fish rearing and these sorts of things. How many of them are fathers? They have Father's Day events. They made kites for their children. They're doing things when they raise money from work that they do
send home
through
to
the
their
prison.
families.
They have a book drive and a bag drive, and they send things to their families to continue to support their families on the outside. Because if you don't support the family, then you're continuing to help deteriorate the society.
However, we have to also mention that not everybody is nice and dandy like that
Of
and
course.
follows protocols
course,
and
yeah.
stuff. So there are measures in place for those persons as well.
That's why they continue to
Right?
search them, and those who behave badly, they will lose privileges or they'd go into lockdown,
Solitary.
solitary confinement, and so on.
And they don't want to do that. So they do what they have to do, go to the classes, learn the skill, you know.
So while there are positives to being in there and participating in rehabilitation methods and measures, if you
It's
continue,
not a breezy hotel.
It
It's not
isn't.
a
It
Marriott.
isn't.
It's not a
I mean, I could tell
Princess.
you it was nice because I only see the nice parts of it, right? But you see when you're actually there behind bars, that's a different thing. And then
locked in a room all day,
But-
except when you have
and then
class.
sometimes you're locked in. Well, in that case, they were locked in rooms with a bunch of
Cells,
people.
yeah.
And like this, and sometimes
all
I need
day
me peace.
cramped up with people.
And then I need peace.
And for years
And
and
then-
years, some of them, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Only
if,
to
for
be
me, if
released
I got
for
share
lunch
a cell
class.
with Ashwini and here she's singing,
God,
right?
Girl,
Girl, I'm
she
a
asked me
welcome
to
with a
sing was which day, and I bust a whole Indian song. I know she wanted to tell me something about it.
right? So
Get it off her chest.
So yeah, like they don't have any sort of privacy, well, understandably so. But and when you do misbehave, you get your punishments and stuff in order. But yeah, for the most part though, I like what they were doing. And then they have the school that they're building, the Tivet.
Yes.
Yeah. Training school downstairs for skills and then upstairs for bookworms, as they call it.
Yes, I think that's really good. It's an entire community.
It's nice
Yeah.
seeing a different side of the prison. Thanks to you. Both of you.
Yeah.
Well,
Thanks to you.
the thing is, you're welcome. The thing is, for me, right? I've always had a passion about human rights of prisoners and so
Because
on.
you said in Antigua, it's the same, no? You did this already?
I've done this before, but the conditions are worse. The
yeah?
conditions are really awful, and I've always advocated for the rights of prisoners.
Meaning no rehabilitation there, or
It's minimal.
okay.
It's minimal, and the conditions, like when you
The
walk
actual
in, the
cell?
smell alone could tell you that
There's
you're
a
in
prison.
Okay,
Up there, there was no smell.
That's
no
true.
room that we went to, no
I mean, we
lockdown
had the
area,
kitchen
nothing.
smell real good though.
No room had any bad smell. The environment was clean. They had proper toilets. They
Oh, we
not
walked into the
using
room, they were smelling
system.
of bleach.
Yes,
I
we did.
remember.
We did. Yes, we did
Yes,
notice
they were
that.
clean.
But it smelled clean. The yard was clean. They have a little barber shop. They have so many different areas, carpentry shop, and so on. And it was clean. You could see it's not a staged
Yes.
thing for us. Like when you go
It
to
was
the
routine.
workshop,
Yep.
you see everything there. The men are working. They have their safety gear. And that was so important for them to have the goggles and so on. And when I look at that, I would like for society to understand that for prisoners, this is how they see it. A society that doesn't care for me is a society that I don't care for.
Yep.
So if the people on the outside don't care for me, and when I come out, they're going to remind me every day that I'm a convict. They're going to remind me every day of the type of crime that I've done. They're going to call me things like jailbird and no good and all the derogatory
And we have
things.
our
And they won't give me a
society
job
is-
or funding or the
This
a
a
right
joke.
to vote.
This is a joke for you come out there. Oh, look, the jailbird coming there.
Good.
Right?
If the society doesn't care for me and welcome me back, that's a society that I don't care for.
Exactly.
So you've got to show them the love.
empathetic
When your
about
kids do
it.
bad things, you don't just throw them out. Well, some people do. But
Some
you don't just
people
throw
do.
them out on the street and
Some
cut them
people do.
off and leave it forever. You don't
Yeah.
punish them into perpetuity and say, oh, well,
At
you
some
go your
point,
way.
you need to exercise some level of understanding and
Forgiveness.
forgiveness.
Yes.
We're not telling you forgive them and you gotta hug them up and be all lovey-dovey with them all the time. Forgiveness does not mean that you have to do those things. You just don't
Respect
hold
Let
them.
them be.
Respect
let
them.
them be. Let them be.
Let
just
them
don't
live.
hold
Let
their
them try.
crimes against them.
Yeah,
Because
that's
you
it,
need to
yeah.
understand that people's actions, their words, regardless of what it is a projection of what is going on within them.
Interestingly, a lot of the social inquiry reports that are done in courts when individuals are being sentenced points to lack of a wholesome family
support.
household. So it's usually single parent home. It points to poverty, poor education, dropouts, introduction to drugs at an early age. Very, very often, you can say like 90% of the time, that's the situation, that's the environment.
This is Ghana?
Yes.
Okay.
And so when judges are sentencing, they do generally in the region their guidelines
take
to
it into
sentencing.
consideration.
They do a social inquiry report, look into the background of the person. You also do a victim impact report. You look into how the incident impacted the victim's life, and you use those things in conjunction with the limits that the law set for sentencing and discretion to determine what sentence you're going to give. But when you look at the social inquiry reports on the accused or now convicted person facing sentencing, very often the picture that you see, the window that you see through, there's nothing positive that was going on inside.
Yep. That I really honestly believe that people's actions, and now I can say that I do believe this. But yeah, people's actions, their words, the way they behave in general is a projection of what is going on within them or their lives.
Yeah.
And that's them just expressing themselves in, I guess, because more often than not, because a lot of us don't take therapy. Plus, therapy is expensive. It's like $7,000 session.
But it got free clinic, you know. It
Really?
got these
Where?
online sites as well that you could get assistance from.
But yeah,
The
like
mental
online-
health unit has assistance in Guyana. I actually have, after we had that discussion.
You went to check it out?
Yeah, there are services, but of course, depending on your situation as well. It's not like it's freely across the country, but there are avenues out there.
Okay. We should look it up and have that as a discussion next time. But for now, let us go to the prison, the Temeri prison, and we're going to share with you footage from our visit, our tour and interactions with prisoners and the prison officials. Take it away, Sammy.
All right.
The effort to rehabilitate prisoners in Guyana has perhaps never been so consistently great and vast as it has. So much about the rehabilitation efforts by the Guyana Prison Service. With our rich background in journalism, of course we trusted, but sought to verify. That is what brought us here to the Temeri prison to tour the facility and observe the prisoners engage in rehabilitation programs. This prison had 101 inmates at the time of our visit on April 28, 2023.
Having the responsibility of inmates' welfare and corrections thrust upon your shoulders is no easy task. However, it is one that the Welfare and Correction Department executes with honor. Being a part of such an activity that contributes to the reform of those that society has condemned, is an experience and a feeling that only those who are a part of this system would ever understand. Ensuring that they are exposed to programs, giving them a fair opportunity to find employment and or provide employment upon their release from prisons is something that we take very seriously. Because we don't want to just speak about reform, but we want to play a vital role in that process. Prisoners who are sentenced are going through tremendous changes, psychological changes, emotional changes, and physical changes, which includes their freedom being taken away from them. And the closest thing they have to a family many times when they come to prison are the officers who are responsible for ensuring that they are safe, that their welfare issues are addressed, and that they are exposed adequately to training programs. Over the years, the number of inmates that would have been exposed to training has increased dramatically. From 2018, where we were training just over 300 inmates, to 2022, where 1,415 inmates were exposed to various training programs. We have initiatives like our Fresh Start initiative that provides those exposed to training with a toolkit in their specific area to be able to provide for themselves and families once they would have been released from prison.
We want to give you a start when prisoners leave the confines of the prisons. So, for instance, if a prisoner goes through these programs, like blockmaking, on their release, the Fresh Start program will actually equip the prisoner with everything he needs to start up a blockmaking business for himself on his release. So, for us, being a part of the program is one of the criteria of actually qualifying yourself for the Fresh Start initiative.
And you mentioned that they make about 1,500 blocks a day. Do they get paid when the blocks are sold?
Definitely. So the prisoners are paid for each block.
Okay, and that money goes into savings towards what specifically?
So the monies are for the prisoners. So they decide whether they want to have it on their property or on the tuck shop, where they could actually purchase items that we will need for themselves.
Or they can save and get equipment to start their own business?
Definitely, they can actually save, and on their release they could have that money accumulated to go into business when they leave prison.
Do you have any success stories out there, without naming anybody?
Yeah, definitely. We have persons who would have done blockmaking in Timehri prison are now successful on the road doing blockmaking.
And this is just a simple step in the direction of reform and rehabilitation. It is important that we try to get on board with this project of rehabilitation, because whether we want to accept it or not, many of these inmates will return to society. And at that point, we do not control with whom we interact or where we may be able to see or run into these persons. And it's very important that we contribute positively to their return to society, so that when they return, they are better citizens than when they would have been sent to prison.
Welcome to Talk Tax. My name is Carolita Edwards. Our program this week will outline to you the importance of paying taxes and filing your tax returns on time.
Need to apply for a taxpayer identification number or TIN from the GRA? Here is what you'll need. ID, passport, or affidavit of identity, and proof of address. This can be a utility or internet bill, renter's receipt, or a mail bearing GPO's official stamp. Provide the original and copy of these along with the completed application form. It costs $1,000 for a new tin and $2,000 to reprint a lost or damaged tin. GRA, your partner in development.
If you're self-employed, it means that you are your own boss. You have your own business, and you set the charges for the goods and services you provide. As a self-employed person, you are assessed for income tax based on your chargeable income. That is, the amount remaining after expenses are reclaimed. Therefore, when submitting an income tax return for year of assessment 2023, you must submit the following: income and expenditure or profit and loss statement, balance sheet of assets and liability, loss schedule if applicable, wear and tear schedule if applicable, certificate of deduction, that is, set-off letter or certificate, such as a cold board letter or 2% withholding certificate if applicable. April 30 is the due date for the submission of tax returns and the payment of taxes due and outstanding. For more information, contact GRA's Tax Advisory Services, 227-6060, extension 8000.
Consumer protection is everybody's business. Consumers, when making purchases of a good or service, you should collect a receipt. It is the only proof of purchase. Receipts should include the purchase price and the VAT separately as paid by the consumer, date of purchase, description of goods sold or service provided, name, address, and the telephone number of the business. Your receipt allows you to return a good purchased. Goods must be returned no later than 7 days from the date of purchase, have not been used or tampered with, and in its original package. Businesses may charge a restocking fee not exceeding 10% of the purchase price on goods returned. Goods which fail to provide consumers the benefit and uninterrupted enjoyment intended should be returned to suppliers. At no cost to the consumer, suppliers should repair, replace, or refund the purchase price. Suppliers shall not post notices that goods are not returnable, and no refunds will be given for goods returned. A supplier who conducts this act commits an offense. Contact the Department of Consumer Affairs and the Ministry of Tourism, Industry and Commerce. catguyana@gmail.com or Department of Consumer Affairs Guyana on Facebook.
pages will have the videos, so you can always refer to it there. Martina, you have a nice voice. That was a really nice voice when you were narrating. That was nice. Not mine. Mine just trip out sometimes.
I'm just gonna say thank you and leave it there.
My son said he has a nice voice, so we'll try him out next time.
Yes, he does. He does. You see, what I like, our women empowerment program is about empowering people, so that we can all be empowered. But although we put emphasis on women, in this instance, this is a prison with male inmates only, and people think that we exclude men from the conversation, but we don't. We don't. We include all of them. And we like this. It excited us. Like when we heard about the rehabilitation programs. When I sent you the pics of the farming and the tilapia, you were excited, and it was like, yeah.
What made me remember the tilapia pond? So I was
when we were looking at the video, I was telling Martina, remember, I want to fish.
So listen, we went into the tilapia pond area.
This was before soda or after soda?
After soda.
Ah.
That's why she was so excited.
To the pond, and I was like, so Ashwini is walking around, and the other
quietly.
Quietly. Everyone else is quiet. I was like, what a fish.
And the thing is, the officer is saying, you gotta be quiet or else the fish will hide. And she's like, why?
Why do you have to be
Wait.
But
There's
not the
a
best part.
second time
That's
when
not
she
the best
came
part.
back. Where fish? Seriously.
We went in.
She was having too much
They said we gotta
fun.
be quiet, right? Okay, cool. We came out. We were quiet outside. Went back inside. I was leaning over Ashwini. What a fish? I'm not seeing any fish. Eventually, I did see a fish, but
Give it
one.
some time.
I saw
There were
so many of them.
listen, only one wanted to come around me. Okay, one would have braved
But
it.
that's what he
Oh
said, that you have to be really quiet. They're
Yeah.
very, very sensitive to movements.
Oh,
and
dear day.
Oh, one big noise. Fish.
Yes.
It was real nice though. I had fun with the tour, the experiences, the information I got. Everything we found out was really nice. And then I mean, I might have injured Ashwini at one point, but let's not talk about that.
Might have. You said might have, Miss Luti. Might have.
Let's just blame the Coke, okay? Really
Coca-Cola. We're talking about prison here.
That is such a
Coca-Cola.
valid statement that we
Oh
need
my
to
God.
make on air. Thank you for clearing that up, Martina.
But you know, one of the things I was saying before we went off on the fish conversation is that for prisoners, the whole effort to ensure that they maintain social ties, I find that to be very important, because when you cut people off, they lose a sense of everything else, a sense of value, belonging,
Correct.
and all of that. So I like that they're doing that. And then for Mother's Day, those prisons with females, they're doing work. The prisons with males, they're also doing things to honor their mothers and sisters and aunts and grandmas and girlfriends and wives.
It was
and
nice that they said that Father's Day they would have the
and they're doing stuff
the
for
family
Father's
come.
Day as well.
Yep.
Families can come in.
I think if we were to be real and understand Guyanese sarcasm, some people would not see what we are seeing.
No,
They would
a
see
lot
it
of
as
people
us
wouldn't.
glorifying jail
It-
and
it's not
glorifying
that.
being in prison.
But what we're doing is celebrating identity and letting people understand that you have to give people an identity. Changed behavior comes with knowledge and understanding of one's identity.
You know, that same day you said something to Ramona about learned behavior. You were talking about that.
Yep,
Remember
yep.
we were talking about
Yeah,
that.
the- yep.
Behavior is learned.
And if you teach people and show people
that
something different,
Yeah, that punishment
They
or
live it.
jail means constant hitting and beating and that kind of, that's what they are going to come out and still continue doing.
like my son, he's learning that if you lie, you go to prison. So I mean, I don't intend to change that anytime soon. But then I lied this morning. It was a little white lie.
It's still a lie.
He
Learned
told me
behavior,
he was
Ramona.
like,
You learned nothing.
this is what he said to me, Mom, did you just lie? I said, it was a little lie. And he was like, but you lied. I have to call the police.
Oh,
and this
shucks.
child took my phone and started dialing 911. Like, excuse
Baby.
you. But yes, we're not glorifying prison, of course not. But at some point, at every point in our life, we have to look at positives. Being in prison is already a negative. We should not be. They shouldn't be punished more than they're already being punished for the respective
Being
crimes.
in prison is a punishment by itself.
Yeah.
You imagine you come out to do craft maybe 2-3 hours a day, and the rest of the day you spend it in a cell
Yeah.
with a bunch of people who are nothing
Different
to you,
personalities,
different
exact-
personality. You don't necessarily love them, and you know it's you didn't choose their specific company. You did different things. You chose your crime, but you didn't really choose the people to be around.
Yeah.
And
You know, even when we look at like us working and stuff, like we're going
Yeah.
to one place of work, always constantly.
And if we don't
But
like it, we could quit.
We do want a change of environment at times, but they're not afforded that opportunity, of course.
Yeah.
So it is hard. It is still hard, even though you have all these. So don't go jail. You're gonna
And-
learn, but don't go jail.
But and remember too, when we talk about identity is important because the way you see yourself is one aspect of identity, and if you're only seeing negative, then you wouldn't project positive. That's one, how you see yourself. But how society views you is another thing. You know,
That
when
influences your thoughts.
Good. When you get into a little thing at work or somewhere among your friends and everybody's looking at you and judging you, you feel bad. Sometimes you probably can't eat. Sometimes you can't sleep. It's on your mind all
It
the
affects your
time. And it
self-esteem.
affects your self-esteem.
Even
It
your
affects your
actions.
output. It affects so much about your behavior. Now imagine if, and this is just your work environment. It's not at your home. It's not at your friends when you travel. It's not everywhere. And it's not everybody who's at work you may have the issue with. It might just be one person. Imagine if it's a situation where everybody see you jailbird. He's a convict. You know, he went to jail last year for this.
And
Yeah,
not,
you know, it's where he
and not
thief.
everybody is strong enough to break
withstand.
past that, because a lot of people will be like, oh, well, they already think I'm a criminal. They already think I'm so bad.
I might as well
You know,
just.
there is a Yuri Brenner. I love his theory. He shows how children learn, and he says that it's basically like circles. Let's say Jonathan, for example. He has a mom, you have a boss, you have other people, and if you're affected, he is also affected.
Because
with
you take it out on
you,
him.
every child is affected based on the people they are surrounded by, and the people they are surrounded by, and the people they are surrounded by. So the culture and environment is very important. So when we are redoing this rehabilitation and stuff, when they get back into society, it can go back to square one with your help, or it can actually continue seeing improvement in them.
And I remember a point that Mr. Benjamin made to mention is the fact that they try to build their broken or supposedly broken relationships that these criminals might have had with their families. They try to reach out to their respective family members and, you know, bring them in for counseling together. And I think that's a really great step, because
big
too
step.
often you find that these, as Martina mentioned before, whether they're your brother, your sister, your son, your daughter, you just, okay, you did this wrong, you embarrassed me, you embarrassed the family, that's it. Cut off all ties.
And remember, another thing that the prison superintendent said was that there must be a mutual belief that the prisoner can change before change can happen. A mutual belief is one. Within the prisoner, he must believe that he can change. And you have to show him the options, or her, the options. You have to show him the alternative behavior and thinking. And then the second thing is the people around you, your society, whether it's your close society as in your immediate family, your relatives and friends, and then wider society. As long as you have that mutual understanding and mutual belief, then we are going to see a different approach to prisoners. But here, what I'm not saying that everybody who comes out of prison is going to be changed. That is not the reality. Some people, as Ms. Grant said in the video, some people will end up there
Back.
again
Yep.
because their cycle is not their time, and their learned behavior has not been unlearned.
And the thing is, I believe lessons have to be learned before a person can fully change. And I always believe in this thing. If you don't learn your lesson, you will repeat the respective cycle.
You know what's something I really like too? The officer in charge, Mr. Benjamin, he said he was either pursuing a master's degree or
He's got it. He's got
he
his
has a
master's. Yes,
degree.
he's got a master's
So
degree.
yes, we are doing a rehabilitation for the inmates, yes, but the officers are also getting themselves
Educated.
qualified
And he
and
also
educated.
studied agriculture, so he's pushing the agriculture program
Aspects,
from
yeah.
a knowledge-based
Right.
approach. Interestingly, it reminds me of something else that was said when we were there. I think it was the Officer Adams who mentioned it. she said that they have a skills and knowledge-based approach to rehabilitation, which is you come in, it was an asset-based approach. I think that's the term she used. You come in and you're seen as an asset. What are your skills and what knowledge do you have that's positive that we can use in the prison to help rehabilitate others? I like that they looked at you as an asset as opposed to a liability. Yo, we got to feed you, we got to find this, we got to find that. So when you come in, you're a carpenter. We're going to use you. Of course, we'll bring in a trainer, but when the trainer is not there or the facilitator is not there, you're trained to train others. And so you can still manage, like we saw the carpentry work was being done. They were making chairs for their own classroom and library. And the week before that, they donated a whole lot of furniture to the Temeri Primary School for those students. And you see how making society see what they're doing, how they're contributing positively to society, helps change perceptions one day at a time,
but
one act at a time.
I think we need more publicity on this, on the fact that they're doing all of this.
That's why we go to jail again.
I didn't know that you could have done those things. I didn't know you could have recruited well-behaved prisoners to help you build a house.
Say that you could actually
to
get
help
them to
you
come
build a
out
house.
into society guided.
Yes.
Yeah. Mr. Benjamin explained. I think who brought it up? Somebody brought it up. But he basically explained that you can just send a letter. Of course, a lot of background check and
just a lot of vetting and
but
they
you
come
send
and
a
check the
letter
sites and so
and you
on.
say, listen, I'm building a house. I would like some prisoners to do this, and they get the necessary skills men in order, following the necessary procedure, and bam, you get your house done at
and you pay.
You still pay. You pay,
You
but at a
still
lower
pay.
cost.
I think you ask about them.
And you can
being
also do the
paid
same thing
how much?
Market level,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yes.
But
And
some of the payment will cover like transportation costs to get them there,
and some will be given to the prisoners.
lunch to get out there, but the rest of it goes to their account.
There are various accounts, and then
And
also
those
you can do the
accounts
same
are
thing
managed.
for furniture. You
Yes.
can send in whatever you'd like to be custom made.
Yeah,
and they
Prison
make it for
Expo
you.
is coming up in September.
You can buy your blocks.
Expo.
I wanted to buy blocks from them, but they don't provide delivery, so no, that's too far. And
and
my
it will
quantity
increase your
was
cost.
Yeah, my quantity was too. If it was a larger amount, then definitely. But I just needed 150. So
Okay.
But yeah, so they're doing
And the
things.
quality of those blocks, like they weren't. Sometimes when you see them, they're white and sandy, and you hit them, they crumble.
Yeah, you can tell.
Those were solid. Like I'd
Yes.
throw one at you, and it would
Good thing she
stay
didn't try
intact.
right, 'cause
No, I wouldn't do that.
You also mentioned about the background, right? But
Yeah.
the officer, Mr. Benjamin, he did say as well that they actually go into the environment where you require these persons.
The outdoor parties.
Yes,
They'll
they,
check the
they do
sites.
an entire check of the area.
See what security
Yeah.
is needed.
Yeah, a lot of vetting is done, like you
If
said.
drug houses nearby.
Exactly.
So
He
don't
did
worry.
make that specific mention, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who is operating, what is operating, and so nearby. Yep. And
Yeah, and so it's not that they're just putting these prisoners out there unsupervised or anything. Of course, they are doing the necessary background checks and ensuring the area is okay and safe. And of course, they're not just taking any prisoner out there.
We spoke
it's
about the
properly
behavior
managed.
before,
Yes.
Yes.
Because they're vetted for a while before they get out. They're chosen anyway.
So it's not like if you now gone in and you have a skill, okay, we're gonna take you out now.
No, you gotta prove yourself.
So
Just
it
like at
sh-
work, you
it
gotta prove
sh-
yourself.
It shows like a well thought out process to curb their behavior and to their thinking, and it's
Like you're
it's a
making them
well-thought-out process.
feel belonged in some way. So
There was one prisoner who was cutting something, and he wasn't wearing his safety goggles. And as soon as he saw the superintendent, he's like, "Let me put this on." So you know that they know what they have to do, and you could see, like when you walk into a classroom with primary school children, mainly primary school children, everybody would jump up, "Good morning, miss." All those guys in the classroom got up when they didn't even have to beckon to them to come in. And they didn't know we were
Listen,
coming.
This is a good and bad thing. 'Cause
They're like,
you
"Good
remember why you used to-"
morning, miss." And they got up and they were respectful.
They were.
And they were focused in their classroom. Prison is a microcosm of society, indeed.
Yeah, and they were learning about I think it was secondary school science. They were learning about the plant, But
And
yeah,
they actually had like books and pencils.
and
And
they had a
taking
digital
pens and
screen.
taking
I mean, they're
notes.
more advanced than a lot of these the
Yeah.
schools.
Listen,
schools
we are
out
at
in
EDU
society.
FM, okay?
They had their digital screen and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, they
And-
could do with a bigger screen, right? So if the relevant people are listening, like they could do with a bigger screen. But
For now, they're
My
making
father
do
is
it.
here. He says, "Don't throw blocks, Ashley." I'm like, "No, we didn't. Nobody threw any blocks anywhere."
I like that he's on. Good afternoon, Daddy.
Good
Nobody threw
afternoon,
anything.
Venus Daddy.
Some of the other.
She's giving me the eye. Listen, you should have sat there.
I
so
am
the-
never telling you anything anymore, Ramona. I learned my lesson.
You
okay,
announced
hear?
it on radio.
Listen,
Everybody
not
and
to
their
be
great
repeated
grandfather
every
heard.
program. I learned my lesson with you, Chandini. Okay.
Listen, if they didn't hear the
Chandini.
first time, I gotta make sure they hear. Alright? They have to know
Oh my
who
goodness.
the women empowerment team is, who the members are. They need to know.
You know what? The prison officer said that one of the things that he liked about our request to do the visit is that we were one of the first. Nobody else. It's not something that people would just come and say, we want to see the prison.
Yes,
Or
indeed.
we're coming to verify all those press statements that you're putting out about farming and building furniture. It wasn't really an effort to verify it. Seeing is believing, yes. We've done journalism.
We wanted to
We
see
want
what
to
was
verify,
happening.
yes. But to get a first-hand look and understanding of what was happening, for me, that was important. And I remember when we were going in and you were searched.
Yeah, we were
And the pat down. And
we
I
were
had a
happy,
black,
like, I'm next.
like there was a
Yeah,
black
I-
button I was looking for to put on my coat. Months I can't find this black button.
People started she
And
bag
the
of
prison
finding-
officer searched my bag so thoroughly. She found that black button in a little pocket in the corner, like nobody ever sees that pocket on my bag. And she found
and
it.
she found your business cards, which were hidden in the
The other
handle of your
pocket.
bag.
Hey, imagine
The
that
handle
one.
of
Which
her
I
bag,
always forget.
Right?
I tell people like I don't have my card and it's there. But she
But
searched
that
that
was
bag
good. That was good. It shows
so
how thoroughly
well. But she
they were
didn't
doing
ask
their
us
job.
to squat
Thank
Yeah.
God.
to see if we were
Okay.
smuggling anything in. Like you see that in the movies.
No.
Yeah, okay.
Or
All right.
open your mouth.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that prisoners going in would have to do that because people
Oh,
try
you
to
know what I
smuggle
just
things
remembered?
in.
The virtual court.
Wow. Hey.
That was so nice.
Ramona.
So I have some videos. I have to compile them and I'll post them on our page.
Listen, in
But
my
the-
defense,
The model
Hold on, hold on.
prisoner.
So essentially, what happened is we were taken to the virtual courtroom, so to speak, and we were all there: Sammy, Ashwini, myself, Martina, and the officer in charge, as well as another officer. So Mr. Benjamin told Ashwini, what did he say, Ashwini?
listen. First of all, right? Listen.
No,
listen.
justify
No,
it.
listen.
Take a seat.
Listen. Let's say this
Take a
first.
seat.
We were walking a lot, okay? We were up and down and we were doing things and we were I thought we were tired. I thought he recognized that we were tired. So he said to me, "You come, sit."
Go ahead.
And I did so.
So she went.
because
she
I thought he
went
was feeling sorry for me because we were walking so much.
She went over to the other room and and then they switched the
Not
camera.
knowing it was a
We-
whole setup. It was a whole setup.
That's basically where they put
very
her.
well
She looked like
orchestrated.
she looked like she was behind bars.
Where they put her to sit was essentially where they would put the prisoners to await their respective trial time. So yeah, so then the camera switched and there's actually
Sitting.
looking like a
And
very
then all
pretty
you hearing,
prisoner.
act like a prisoner. Act like what? Say, what? Act like a prisoner.
Because
No,
she's
no,
on her
no,
phone,
no,
right?
Come on.
Because she was on her phone and we were like, she's not acting like a prisoner. We need her to act like a prisoner.
Set
Yeah.
up by.
But because what we wanted to do was to reenact something
I would
similar
like
to
to be
what.
informed, not just to be told. You
But
come
then you
sit
might have
here.
been afraid. You're like, no, I don't want to go in there.
But then we could have put you, Miss Martina, or you, Miss Chandini, to do it.
Listen, I went into a whole cell by myself, okay? Nobody even had to ask me. I went into
You
the
were,
cell,
yeah,
so-
maybe you were too willing.
right? So, I think I was really hyper, but it was a nice experience. And the other day, I was telling one of my friends about it. I had a reception to attend Friday last, and I was telling her about it. Thank you. And I was telling her about the experience and how nice it was, and she was like, Ramona, would it have been that nice if you were behind bars?
Well, that's the
All
thing.
right,
Like,
point.
it's not necessarily that it was nice that we love to go to prison and that sort of thing, but it's nice to see what was being done.
The approach which was
And
taken.
the humanity and the care and the conscious effort.
You feel like there's a sense of, okay, like people care.
Like we just coming around the turn. We were on a blind turn with how we're treating prisoners. That section of society we're ill-treating. And we're on that turn where we're now going on a straight path and we can see the end of the road. Like we know that there's
What is there
positive
for them.
change coming. Yeah.
You could see
Because
it.
so often you hear people go to
You
prison
see the
like,
effort
oh,
being put into it.
yes, effort, and then the fact that you know there are people that care.
Interestingly, it's 101 inmates in there, and 37 of them, or 37%, they're foreign
Oh,
prisoners.
yes.
I remember that struck me. I was like, are you telling me that 37% of our prison population here at Temeri are non-nationals? Like, that was so alarming for me because I would have thought that they're all Guyanese.
Yeah, they said that they're
But that's a very
facilitated
high percentage.
foreign nationals and young people.
Offenders. There are
Young
older
offenders.
ones as well, but
A
like,
few.
I found that quite
But
interesting.
that prison we went to is like for traffic offenders and
Used
like you
to
said,
be
minor.
Yeah, it used to be
Used to be.
before. Yeah,
Yep.
before things changed. And as work continues with the expansion and rebuilding of Camp Street, it may revert fully to what it was before. What I would like to see is the Camp Street prison perhaps moved out of the city, or
What was the reason for that, though? I wonder.
I don't know. I don't know
Putting
the
it in the
history
middle of the
behind
city, I
it
wonder.
being in the city. But I would like to see it either moved out of the city or it is expanded in a way that agriculture can be done in the same way as it's done at other prisons. Not necessarily in the ground, I mean, because they don't have the land for it. But there's greenhouse that you can set up. There are beds that you can do in pots and containers and drums and so on. I'd like to see the rehabilitation more inclusive or more diverse, so that if I don't like carpentry, I don't like mechanic, I don't like tailoring, at least I
Have
can
more
do
options.
fish farming, I can do construction, I can do agriculture and so on. And I think it's nice when you were learning to care for something else as well, you'd put more value to life. Like you're caring for plants, you're caring for animals, and you know they have to be fed. Remember the fish come out every morning at 9 o'clock and they're all jumping in the water just because they know it's time for food. It's learned behavior. We feed them every day at 9. So every day at 9, if you miss 9 o'clock and you go at 9:05, you see them there jumping, the tilapia at the prison. So I'd like them to get an opportunity to see. I'd like to get an opportunity to see that done at Camp Street Prison. I'd really love if that can be changed into something that's much more productive than what I know it to be at the moment. Yeah.
Well, I'm just glad that we were able to go to see for ourselves, and now we can tell our listeners. So, even if they have their loved ones who are there, they know it's not, the end of the road. And I hope that we can at some point change the negative perception of what exactly happens behind prison, and it's not where somebody just goes to rot in jail, as they so often say.
Yeah. But the video is going to be on Facebook. For those of you who want to go back to see the prison visit that we did and the tour, you can check EduFM on Facebook. It's EDYOUFM, and you can see it there. It's also going to be posted. Other snippets would also be posted, and we're going to have a little write-up on the website that you get insight into that. But having said that, we are also going to be doing additional tours to bring more light to the rehabilitation programs, and we are hoping that we can track it to see the changes that they are able to bring about.
For prisons all across Guyana.
Yeah.
But I think I'm hoping for the next prison visit to be in a female's prison.
Correction facility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And talking about influence and changing behaviors, we have in studio here our DJ, yes, our sound engineer, Ashwini Saran, who is one of the 25 influential women leaders. She was nominated and she has secured an award. So she's going to be one of those people awarded in June this year for her contributions to
You
society.
have a plus one, right? Hi. Remember we're best friends, girl.
So we've got a couple of minutes left. Yes. And so Ashby, we want to hear about your work in education and you do radio.
Tell our listeners exactly. Also, when you're not DJ Ash here, what are you? Who are you?
Yes.
I've been teaching for 17 years. I have a degree in mathematics.
Hold on, I gotta guess you age.
That's as long as I've been alive.
Listen. Let's not do that, guys. We already have the middle name out there, okay? TMI.
So you've been teaching for 17 years. You've got a degree in math.
I'm currently pursuing a master's in education and leadership.
We gotta get an applause thingy here. Clap, clap.
And I'm currently at the Ministry of Education as a senior education officer at the resolution desk, to be specific. But apart from education,
You deal with problems. I see.
yes,
She
yes.
deals
I
with
be very patient and
resolutions,
listen.
She be a good
resolving,
counselor, you
finding
know.
solutions.
I like how you say problems and not the solution part, but all right, Ramona, I like how
Are
you
you
see
saying
me.
dealing with the problem?
Yes, I hear you. But I'm also part of youth groups, which come together to facilitate positive change, as I've been saying. One of the reasons why I took up radio is to promote healthy conversations, where we talk about things which are taboo for women and men. Sexual and reproductive health, mental health, family planning. Those are the things I really try to focus on throughout my life. And then it never really dawned upon me that you can actually be recognized for this until a friend of mine, Ravina Mangal, she was Miss Tourism. She participated in a competition and won. And she actually was the one pushing behind this. So when I was chosen, it was like a huge shock for me. Like, whoa, thank you very much, but whoa, yeah. So I would put that in a nutshell for me, that it has been voluntary work my entire life, always doing charitable work and always in a group where you want to impact positive change. It has always been about that. After today, I was having a conversation with someone and we were talking about just you can choose to be fully invested in something and you're always promoting that thing, or you can choose to be neutral, where you look at the positives and the negatives. And I'm talking about politics. Yeah, I'm talking about politics, I'm talking about religion, I'm talking about everything. And I think that best describes me. And she said to me, well, you raised different. I'm like, listen, I appreciate that, but I think everybody is, but sometimes we just choose to focus on. And that's why, like, this bottle that I have, it's a daily reminder, and this is truly
Read
what
it
I
out.
live by.
I know it says something about life.
Life is 10% of what happens to you, and 90% of how you react to it. And I truly, truly live by that.
Yes.
Everybody got problem. Everybody got issues. Everybody got tragedies. But what are you planning to do next? That's what you have to take into consideration. How you react, how you choose to react. Like road rage people who drive in and got road rage. Me ain't call their name, you know. But people who got road
I never
rage.
drive you. Can't be talking about me.
I ain't calling him. But I mean, think about it. If we're all going to be so expressive, people have different personalities. But if you're going to allow situations to control you, you're pulling back from what you can actually be. And I truly believe that.
And at some point, you have to start taking responsibility for your own actions,
Exactly.
and not and stop blaming external factors. Because yes, external factors might have contributed to you having the mindset or feeling however you are.
At some point.
But at some point, I mean, we're adults. When you become self-aware.
Same thing with the prisoners, actually, too. That we still have, despite everything that is being happening for them in the rehabilitation side, there are still a bunch of them that are, the system is against me and they're not changing. But that's everybody's
they did speak about that.
different personality, different mentalities. But in a whole, I think, coming completely off on a tangent here, our culture really needs to change in terms of how we think and how we perceive things as people in Guyana. We need to understand that a lot is happening, and if you don't start grabbing opportunities and seeing them for as it is, people are going to come and take them, and you're going to still be sitting there complaining. So choose to do good things, choose to make a positive change, choose to elevate yourself, and at the same time, be so by being kind and empathetic.
Yeah,
Very
don't reach the top of the ladder and then pull the ladder up.
Exactly, and this is our conversation off here, as we were talking about too.
You got to remember where you came from.
Leave the ladder so other people can climb it. And as a matter of fact, hold it steady so they don't
And we've
fall.
often said this
Exactly.
in previous discussions we've had on this very program, where we need to start empowering each other. You can't claim to be empowered if you're not passing on that information.
And it comes with basic things. Compliment each other, say good things to each other, recognize each other's efforts, and make it a daily habit, and not like an effort that you have to, oh God, I gotta remember to tell she something good. I gotta remember. It should
should
But
come
even if
naturally.
it starts
habit.
that way,
If it starts
you're
that way,
cultivating
But more
the
often
habits.
than not,
Yeah.
we think
It's
these
true, you know,
things.
it's true, yeah.
Like more often than not, we think these things. Like today,
just
we
say
complimented
it.
you with your dress. We thought it.
I'll
we
see
were
my
like,
Martina dress, by the way.
Right? I thought it was sparkling like Christmas when I saw it because I didn't look at what I was wearing before I left the house.
She looked
And
really
when I
nice.
came in, I was like, oh my God, it was sparkling like a Christmas tree with fairy lights.
Oh Lord, Martina. But I think when we have reached that point where we start complimenting each other, we not only stick at the physical aspects, but mentally and in your education or academic, and start recognizing, especially women, for much more than what they are as just being beautiful or being pretty or having a good shape or having nice hair or having nice jewelry. Women are much more than that. They have an
Compliment their
opinion.
minds.
Yeah, they have
They're-
an opinion. What they say,
correct.
it values. These are things which are important and need to be hammered into our society today.
So you see why she is one of the 25 influential women leaders selected for 2023. Interestingly, I was also nominated, and I was telling the creator of the event, Miss Linda Danzy Black, when we met at the We Lift Expo. I said, you really have a good vetting process, because when I found out that I was nominated and I started looking into it and perhaps who I could nominate, I have other women groups that I'm in, and I send it to them and I'm like, nominate a woman that you know, or
That
send
is
me your
such a nice thing to
information
do.
that we can nominate each other for this. I don't know what this is about. And when I looked at it, you had to have been doing what you're doing for
2+ years.
2+ years.
2+, I say a number.
And the person who nominated me for my work in women empowerment, but I've only been doing this from September last year. And I'm like, you've got a good vetting process. And she said, well, I'm glad that you recognize that, because some people might think it's rigged. And because I know you, they might think it's rigged. Like, no, it's not rigged. It's a good vetting process.
But the good thing with that is that we get to see so many women in Guyana who are making a positive change. I mean,
Yes.
as much as you're out there
Look
and
at
you're
the
doing
list
things,
of women
exactly.
who were nominated,
As much as
over
you're-
100.
As much as you're out there and doing things, you really don't know who else is out there. And this whole 25 influential women, it really brings together that collection of women. This batch would have made 100 women now that they have recognized so far. 25.
Interestingly, right? I was looking for my name when the video came out, and I just jumped to M. I had never looked at the first part. I'm like, let me see,
Maybe
like,
if
what
you check B, you
happened.
would have probably seen it.
I didn't see hers, right? And she had just joined us. So when I eventually saw it, it still didn't resonate until like 4 days after the
I remember
fact.
you told me.
I remember. Oh my God, I feel so bad. I was
No, it's
saying
fine.
this is so great, and I never complimented her for it.
It's
Just in
okay.
case
But
you're on the
yeah.
live and you just saw my son's tummy.
Yes, you can go.
So sweet.
Yes, you can go outside and you can
Yes.
do that.
He wants Ma to answer.
Yes, baby, you can do that. Yes, outside.
So
Thank
Jonathan
you.
is joining us this evening because the school is finished, and yes, he doesn't have a sitter for tonight. I told Ramona, yes, let him come in and learn what we're doing here,
Yeah, but
because
ever
he's
since he
going to have the
came-
male empowerment
Ever
show.
since he came the last time, and we were painting every time. We painted today. We painted.
Oh my God.
He's going to have the male empowerment show. We're grooming him up for
At the
it.
beginning of the show, you were talking about him if it ends, right? No, he's still very happy and active. What time is it? Okay, it's
He's not
almost-
going to fall asleep. But before we go, because we've just got a couple of minutes left, there are a number of things happening. CXC, Cape,
NGS.
those have
NGS
started.
starts tomorrow.
NGS is tomorrow and Thursday. We want to wish all those students out there who are ready. We know you're ready for the exam tomorrow. Go out there and give your best. Whatever your best is, give it and come home, go wherever you're going, and just be proud of your achievement.
And remember, for those of you who are still studying and who do plan to study until probably midnight or after, you can still check out the Guyana Learning Channel's booster videos. That is on YouTube. You can also find a few on Facebook, but they're all there on YouTube. Every topic you might have been taught in school you're not sure of, go in, type that topic in. You will find some sort of content to better teach you what it is you need to know and give you a better understanding. But please remember to take your rest as much
Very
as
important.
as much as you
Take
are
your
going to go
time
in.
and read the questions, take your time and approach it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
There will be a lot of them who are very nervous, and
I mean,
and that
understandably so.
anxiety will
Understandably
can put
so.
a mental block
They're
to you.
competing with students who are going to be well. Anyways, this is NGSA, right? but yeah, big
And
things.
since we talked about all we've done and we've shown our journalistic skills, verifying information and
I
sharing
like how she said
information.
ours, but it's her.
Yeah, because we're all
Thanks.
we're all doing it. And we want to leave you with a message. Tomorrow is World Press Freedom Day, May 3rd every year. And to mark World Press Freedom Day, the UN's chief, Antonio Guterres, he has issued his annual statement wishing you all a productive day tomorrow and a bright future in journalism, as he advocates for all the challenges that we face, that we're able to overcome them. So happy World Press Freedom Day from the EduFM team and from the Women Empowerment Program. Have an awesome evening. And Ramona and Ashwini, all to you now, before we play that video.
You usually close.
Okay,
so
okay,
let me jump ahead.
fine.
I just want to say thank you for the recognition. Of course, it means a lot. It's really fun working with both of you. I can't wait to go
Mostly
to jail
me.
again. But of course, to all those who are doing exams and stuff and you have a lot going on, take it one day at a time. Remember to read your questions. You will have anxiety, but you have to take a breath and then just keep going at it again. I wish you all the best, honestly. And thanks again, ladies.
You're welcome. So it was really nice. This program was really nice. I feel like each
We talked for
program is
2 hours.
better. I talk all the time, girl. So this
We
is
had
nothing
music
for me.
and videos.
But
Come on.
this is. I feel like each program gets better and better. We're bonding so well. It's really nice. So yes, as everybody would have mentioned, good luck to all the everybody that's writing exams tomorrow. Remember, it's necessary to take your rest. So as much as you NGSA students and your parents would want you to study until midnight and whatnot, please
you can't
remember
pour
to
from an empty cup.
precisely. So to remember to take your rest and go tomorrow amped and ready. Give it your best. Don't compare yourself to anybody. And yes, thank you so much for tuning in this evening for the Women Empowerment Program. This is Ramona Luti, Martina Johnson, Ashwini Saran saying bye.
And Jonathan, good
and
night.
Jonathan too. Bye.
Bye.
Of journalists and media workers. This day highlights a basic truth. All our freedom depends on press freedom. Freedom of the press is the foundation of democracy and justice. It gives all of us the facts we need to shape opinions and speak truth to power. And as this year's theme reminds us, press freedom represents the very lifeblood of human rights. But in every corner of the world, freedom of the press is under attack. Truth is threatened by disinformation and hate speech seeking to blur the lines between fact and fiction, between science and conspiracy. The increased concentration of the media industry into the hands of a few, the financial collapse of scores of independent news organizations, and an increase of national laws and regulations that stifle journalists are further expanding censorship and threatening freedom of expression. Meanwhile, journalists and media workers are directly targeted on and offline as they carry out their vital work. They are routinely harassed, intimidated, detained, and imprisoned. At least 67 media workers were killed in 2022, an unbelievable 50% increase over the previous year. Nearly 3/4 of women journalists have experienced violence online, and 1 in 4 have been threatened physically. 10 years ago, the United Nations established a plan of action on the safety of journalists to protect media workers and then the impunity for crimes committed against them. On this and every World Press Freedom Day, the world must speak with one voice. Stop the threats and attacks. Stop detaining and imprisoning journalists for doing their jobs. Stop the lies and disinformation. Stop targeting truth and truth tellers. As journalists stand up for truth, the world stands up with them.